Does the comic book collecting community often look a gift horse in the mouth? Well, in this video, I got to talk about that. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle. And in this video, I got to ask the question, what are we doing? Because there's been some recent sales in the comic collecting community that really have been kind of head scratchers as far as like what the values of these books are commanding at this current day, especially when I compare them to other books that they are tangentially related to. And this really has me kind of, pontificating on this idea of like, what is the goal with us as comic book collectors? I mean, I realize that a lot of these prices might be being driven out of FOMO and sort of impulse buying and that sort of thing. And in this video, I kind of wanted to, shoot from the hip a little bit and just kind of give you guys some of my thoughts and some of my feelings when I look at some of these, prices of comic books, and then really, bring it back to, what I probably will title the video is, does the comic book collecting community often look a gift horse in the mouth? But before I get into the topic for today, if you guys could drop me a like or comment or subscribe if you're enjoying the content, help support this channel, do one of those things, I would appreciate it. But let's get into this subject here today. Now, before I go any further, I do want to preface that this video might have some spoilers in it with regards to, a certain movie that has come out recently in the MCU. I am going to talk around it for now, but you're getting your warning right now. I probably at some point in the video will be referring to what happens in a certain film. So there will be some spoilers. So if you don't want to find out about the spoilers, maybe this is a good time for you to exit the video. But if you're willing to watch from here on forward, let this be your spoiler warning now. Okay, so this video kind of was inspired due to some recent sales, specifically Captain Marvel number 27, which is the first appearance of Eros, who would later go on to become Star Fox. This is a book that got hot recently due to the leak that character is now in the MCU, and often as the comic book community does, the book explodes, people get FOMO, people go after it, et cetera, et cetera. And I guess I kind of wanted to, analyze like where some of the prices are with you guys here, or just kind of quickly show you at a glance, like what we're seeing this book command, and especially in comparison to another book that relates to this specific movie that is also a great key that people could want to own. And this book that I want to talk about is Eternals number 3, First Appearance of Sersi. And I want to compare these two books because they're both Bronze Age books. They've both come out, roughly around the same time. Captain Marvel 27 is a little bit older. And I would say, in my opinion, this is, obviously up for some debate, but I would say Sersi and Eros / Star Fox are pretty much on the same level. I mean, maybe Eros has had a little more history because he's the brother of Thanos, so there's a little more lore with that. But when we really compare the two, I mean, they're both like these characters that showed up like on the Avengers team in that sort of, 80s, 90s era. And they're both characters that, I maybe you're out there and you're the biggest Sersi Eros fan ever. I don't know. But they're both characters I would generally put on the same tier. And when I think about their sort of pop culture significance, at least right now, that is driving the demand for their respective books, to me, it's like here you have one character who is in a post-credit scene as a surprise cameo, and now that character's book is commanding 3-figure dollar amounts for raws on eBay. And then here you have this other character who is literally the lead of the movie. And it is her story that takes place over the course of 2 hours and 30 minutes. And for all intents and purposes, she is going to be the star that continues to shine here on out in the MCU, as opposed to this other character who, maybe will be kind of a side fun gimmick character that they'll use from time to time in team up movies or whatever. And just to kind of nail this point home, I do want to show some GPA, prices for these two respective books, because I do think it's really interesting as you compare them. So here we have Eternals number 3. This, of course, is the first appearance of Sersi. I'm sure you guys are well aware of this book. Obviously, it's been hot for quite some time due to the anticipation of the Eternals. But even when we go here, right, we go into the 9.8, we look at the value of this book, and we just kind of see what some of the prices have been going for this thing. Here we can see the recent sales this month: 710, 700, 566, 609, et cetera, et cetera. And there's been some highs, like here's a $1,200 high, here's a $1,300 high. Here's even a $1,500 high, right? So at certain points in time, this has been a 4-figure book that people were going for at the 9.8 grade. And then when we go over to Captain Marvel 27, which of course is the first appearance of Eros, there you see him right there. When we take a look at his GPA book, but if we look at the 9.6 right here and we see where this book sits, you can see an October 31 sale at 9.6, $1,750. So already, just because of his cameo appearance, this particular book at a 9.6 grade, no less, has already shot past the peak values of the Eternals book, Eternals #3. Now, there are a lot of other factors, of course, that are at play with this. We could be talking about, okay, well, there's not as many, CGC slab books on the census, so, there's less supply overall. That may be true. A lot of people were anticipating Eternals for a very long time. It's been known that Gemma Chan was going to be playing Sersi for a very long time. So, everybody already had their books slabbed, ready to go, ready to be flipped, ready to be sold, etc. And so this one was kind of a surprise. But taking that all aside, when we think about, the availability of the books, there's still a lot of raw books out there. And the fact that there's people who have, so much FOMO that they're willing to pay these, premiums on a book just to be able to sort of be in the club at this moment in time is just, kind of silly to me. And again, I need to back up and preface again that I don't mind whatever books people want to, buy, or what books have meaning to them. I'm not here to tell you guys what I think you should buy or what books I think are valuable. I'm certainly not here to, command or dictate to the market what I feel like should be, the prices of certain books. I'm just kind of sharing with you guys my perspective as to why I think it might be, a little brash to, pay for a 9.6 first Eros book for $1,750 when you could get the actual star of the movies book for half of the price at a 9.8. I don't know. Again, it's not up to me to decide what people should value, but I do think that this is kind of a common occurrence now in the comic book market. This idea of looking a gift horse in the mouth, because when we take a step back and we think about what is it that people want to own, right? When they're owning this book, or when we're putting value on comic books, what is it that we feel is important to have the book for, right? Like for me personally, when I think about a character whose book I own, let's say I own their first appearance, and I see them in a movie, it does give me a nice little feeling, right? Like I feel like I'm in the club. I feel like I have the book. I own what that character on the screen represents. So I can understand the feeling for people wanting to, be a part of that. They want to feel that. So maybe they get that phone when they want to buy those characters. And I can understand that from kind of like an emotional decision, right? I want to be connected to what I see in this movie, and I'm going to do it by way of owning the comic book. But when we, take a step back and we just kind of look at it logically, right? If we're thinking about our comic books, let's say just from a, I know that people don't always view it this way, but like from an investment standpoint, or, how we're going to allocate our money overall to this hobby and what characters we feel like we want to prioritize and own, when we just think about what these two characters represent, to me, it feels like it's a no-brainer that the Eternals 3 book is, much more significant, much more valuable, and should be the one that, at least is being sold at the price that the Star Fox book is being sold, because we have this character who effectively is on the same tier level, yet she herself is the star of the film. So that I think is really, really interesting. The other kind of thing I wanted to talk about as far as this discussion is concerned, and forgive me, I'm just kind of, rambling and shooting from the hip a little bit. But the one thing I do also want to talk about is this other, these two book comparisons that I referred to earlier, which is this Captain Marvel #17, which is the first appearance of Phyla Vell, a great character, one that I've definitely talked about on this channel and talked about, hey, this is a great character to spec on. But due to recent, speculation and FOMO and all that sort of stuff, this book has really, really shot up over the last couple weeks. I think it was on Cover Price's top 10 article just last week. And, I think one of the reasons for that is that everyone is now sort of speculating that if we're getting Adam Warlock in the Guardians of the Galaxy, and there's these other characters that we've been seeing from the Abnett run, certainly we're going to be getting Phyla-Vell. And I think that that is a good, speculation. And that's why I've said on this channel before that I think, hey, if you can find this book for a really good deal, this is one that maybe you want to, start padding right now. But when we think about what speculation should be, to me, it's like you don't want to be paying, premium prices for books that you want to be speculating on, because then there's no meat on the bone if you decide you want to, sell it later on or whatever. So I think that it's kind of silly that people are paying these premiums, especially when I compare it to another book that is related to Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's Avengers number 112, first appearance of Mantis. I mean, we think about characters that are a part of the team, maybe what Phyla-Vell could be doing as part of the team. And we think about a book like this. This is Avengers 112, first appearance of Mantis. Well, we already know that Mantis is a part of the team, right? Versus this one right here, which is Captain Marvel, number 17. This is just speculation that Phyla-Vell is going to be maybe joining the team in the future. But there's even nothing to say that Mantis is going to be leaving the team. I mean, why do we not think that Mantis is going to continue to play a role? And again, when I'm evaluating characters and the level of popularity and what people think of them, I mean, I kind of feel like, take all the movie stuff away, Mantis is just as kind of obscure as Phyla-Vell and vice versa. So it feels like these characters are on the same level. And when you look at some of the price differences for, Raws being sold online right now, well, I can find pretty solid copies of Avengers 112 right now around that $40 or $50 range if I wanted to own the first appearance of Mantis, a character who is literally in the Guardians movies, versus when I go to, new Captain Marvel number 17 and I want to own the first appearance of Phyla-Vell. I mean, this is going to set me back at least $75, $80, $90, $100, depending on like what grade I'm finding. And so to me, I'm really sort of asking the question of like, do we really feel like the speculative opportunity of a character like Phyla-Vell is twice as much as far as its value is concerned than that of Avengers 112, which is the first Mantis, which is literally a character in the MCU? I mean, I don't know. Maybe there are Phyla-Vell fans out there who really believe that, she's the next superstar of the MCU and that she'll be bigger than Mantis. But to me, it just feels like this will be another character who is like a part of the ensemble in the film, if in fact they do show up in the MCU. So another situation where I'm just kind of stepping back and asking the question, hey, comic community, what are we doing here? What are we not? We're looking this gift horse in the mouth right here. We have this character who is literally in the films, and we can have that book for $40, and we're pursuing this other one, which is, just pure speculation for, $75, $100, which is really crazy to me. So anyways, that is all I have for this video. That was just kind of me just talking about, how I sometimes feel like the comic book community, maybe we get a little too cute, right, with our speculation. Sometimes I think, and I'm guilty of this myself, sometimes I think that the thought and the potential of a character showing up in the MCU is often kind of sexier than actually owning the comic book of the character who is already there, right? We all want to feel like we're in the know. We all want to feel like we're in the club with owning some of these books. And sometimes I think we get a little too ahead of ourselves and we start to overthink what is already there on screen. And I think that this also applies to other characters, ones I didn't even talk about this video, but when I compare the book prices of Silver Surfer to some other characters that I think are in the MCU, and this is coming from someone who Silver Surfer is absolutely one of their favorite characters of all time, but the speculative price of that book is so much more than the real price of other characters that are literally in the MCU. Additionally, when I look at FF number 4, first Namor in the Silver Age, and I compare it to the prices of Avengers number 4, first Captain America in the Silver Age. Granted, I understand that that's a blue chip Silver Age book. It's 2 years older than the Avengers 4 one, and a lot of people love that Fantastic Four run because it's Marvel's first family, etc. But when I look at the values of that book, is Namor really twice as more valuable than Captain America Avengers number 4? Do we really think that Namor is going to have a cultural impact more than that of Captain America? And when I look at some of the values and I rewind the clock to like say 2016, 2015, those books used to be pretty much on par with their values. But now sort of like in this kind of new speculative bubble and us thinking about values for MCU films and things like that, the book is literally twice as expensive as the Captain America book, the FF #4. And to me, I'm just like, is Namor, as cool of a character as he is and as excited as I am to see him, is he really going to capture the pop cultural world in the same way that Captain America did in the MCU? Not even to mention the fact that Captain America is a seasoned flagship character that continues to have an ongoing comic book run. Namor is a character who is great, but can't sustain his own solo title. So anyways, that's all for this video. Let me know what you guys think. Drop me a like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and I will see you in the next video.